Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today we're chatting with Jason Wild from JW Asset Management. But before we bring him on, I just want to remind you about that subscribe button below. You could click it, and next time it'll be easier to find us. Hey Jason, welcome to The Dive.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start with some background. How did you go from being a pharmacist to a well-known fund manager?
Well, it took a while, but I got my pharmacy license in '97. Right around the same time, my last year in pharmacy school, I got really interested in the stock market and interested in investing in pharmaceutical stocks. And that first year as a pharmacist, I pretty much took practically every penny I made in salary as a pharmacist. I was investing into my brokerage account into different drug stocks, and at the end of that year, I made like 5 times more money in the market investing in drug stocks than I did filling prescriptions. And it was much more exciting to me. And I was like, I got to do this. It was good. I hadn't, yet built up, I didn't have a huge mortgage to pay or 3 kids that I had to put through school or anything like that. So I actually launched a fund about a year after I got my pharmacist license, and we launched it with $80,000 under management. So it was sort of like a ridiculously small amount of money, but my view was like, you got to be in business to get business, and I felt like if I continued to perform as well in the market as I had been, that eventually we'd have an audited track record and be able to raise money. So that was sort of the start. In terms of turning that into where we are today, it's been 22 years or so. So it's been a while, and it was wasn't overnight. The first 12 years we did all public equities, and then in 2010 we did our first private company called Arbor Pharmaceuticals, which really that took my fund from about 25 million to over 300 million in AUM, based upon the success of that. And in 2015 we sold a piece of that to KKR, and had a whole bunch of cash from that sale, and that's where we started investing that money in cannabis up in Canada the first 4 years, and then we pivoted into the US around end of 18, early 19.
Amazing. Okay, so TerrAscend recently announced adding 3 more dispensaries in Pennsylvania. What can you tell us about Pennsylvania, and why is it an interesting state for the company's strategy?
Sure, Pennsylvania is a great state. It's what I like to call a eat while you dream state, which means that you can make money under the medical program, and then when rec does kick in, hopefully in the next few years, then business should just go up substantially from there. But we really like being in places where we can make money now and make even more money, in the future. The reason Pennsylvania is so good is because there is a long list of qualifying conditions that doctors can give authorization for cannabis, including anxiety and sleep and pain, which are 3 of the biggest ones. And the state has just been, the numbers have been growing pretty substantially over the last year or so. I believe the latest data shows that the Pennsylvania market is about $1.2 billion in retail sales as of the last month or so. So a big market, and we're excited to be a leader there. We own about 25% of the wholesale market there, and that's really another reason we decided that we want to go into Pennsylvania. Is it's a great state where there's a big opportunity, but B, it was a place where we could compete there and be one of the dominant players in the state. And I'd rather, our approach was we wanted to go deep and be really strong in the places where we were, but we didn't need to be all over the map.
Your fund, JW Asset Management, announced a deal to work with Chris Weber on a fund focused on supporting minority business leaders in cannabis. What can you tell us?
Sure. So we're about to launch it officially. We finally have all of our docs. All the documentation is ready, and we can actually start taking in money. We announced it about a month and a half ago, and I was really pleasantly surprised with the feedback we had gotten with a lot of several companies as well as individuals who wanted to invest, and we've sort of been turning away their money for the last month and a half until we actually could take it. Now we will start accepting subscriptions. We will also start making investments because we've been looking for deals for the last several months. In terms of the reason we did it, I think it's pretty well known now that I think about 3/4 of all the people in the U.S. that are arrested for cannabis offenses are people of color, either black or brown, and that definitely doesn't fall along the lines of that people of color consume 3/4 of the amount of cannabis in the U.S. It's definitely out of line, and it's certainly treated communities of color really unfairly over the years. The other thing is that ownership in these state level legal programs, people of color make up like less than like 3% of the participants in those programs. So we wanted to figure out a way to have the makeup of the operators be similar to the makeup of the people that are out there as consumers, and also to help offset some of the damage that's been done through the war on drugs over the last 50 years or so.
So the U.S. House of Representatives recently voted to move forward the Safe Banking Act. What do you think about the legislation from an investment perspective?
Sure. So I generally, I'll be violating my rule of, I usually don't like to talk about legislative progress and things like that, because I've been so dead wrong for the last 9 years or so. When I first started investing in Canada, in 2014, I was sure it would be legal in the U.S. by, within 5 years. And I was totally wrong. In terms of what's going to happen now, but I will go against my go against my better judgment here, and maybe try to handicap it, or maybe tell you that I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we don't make a lot of progress in terms of the SAFE Act, or what the SAFE Act has in it that can make a substantial difference to the businesses in the cannabis industry. The reason I think that is because I think that social justice is a much bigger issue for so many of the politicians that are in the driver's seat here, in terms of mainly the Democrats. And I think that sort of just reading the tea leaves, I feel like what's going to happen is that a lot of the major points of progress, like 280E and U.S. Being able to uplist to U.S. exchanges, I think that may not be prioritized the way it would have been a year ago. I think that the politicians that are looking at putting together these laws would like to be able to make some impact from a social justice and a social equity point of view before we get those other relief to some of those other pain points, like 280E and U.S. uplisting. So I know that's not the most upbeat answer. I think that that's probably what happens. I think from an economic perspective, that U.S. operators are actually would be slightly advantaged if it took longer for us to make progress, because they will be able to continue to build their businesses. And if it takes 2 years or 4 years or whatever the amount of time is, there'll be a big jump when we get U.S. listings, the ability to list in the U.S. We'll get a big jump in valuation from that point, as opposed to from this point, if it happens sooner rather than later. I like to say it's sort of pay me now or pay me a lot more later.
Okay, so what sense do you have that large U.S. institutions are waiting to invest in cannabis if there is some sort of legalization or descheduling event?
Sure. I think that the large U.S. institutions are already investing in cannabis, even without making progress in terms of getting SAFE or legalization passed. It's been sort of spotty. There are some mutual funds that actually just showed up on the filings, on the Q1 filings, that ended a month and change ago. And one of them, which is one of the largest mutual fund complexes in the U.S., called Putnam, they just showed up as a shareholder, I believe, in GTI and TerrAscend and a couple of other U.S. operators as well. So I think that shows you that the U.S. Institutional money is already here, and it's just the beginning. In terms of the other group of institutional capital is from the hedge funds, and I would say that they all jumped into the space probably right around the turn of the year. There are definitely many more large U.S. hedge funds that are talking about the space and are doing work and are actually investing than there were a year ago.
Okay, so last question we have here. We know you have a long history as a biotech investor. Have you made any investments in the psychedelic arena? And what are your thoughts on the space?
Sure. So I invested a very small amount in MindMed. But generally, and since then, I would say that my view on the psychedelics, I think the psychedelics as a therapeutic is, going to really change the world. I mean, personally, I experienced psychedelics when I was in college, and it changed my life. It honestly changed my life for the better. So that is my one view, is that these psychedelics definitely have major benefit. The problem I've had is I have not been able to find business models that I think are going to actually be able to generate sustainable profits over the long term. I look at it differently than, say, cannabis, because cannabis, there's over $100 billion worth of demand worldwide. And we know people have been using it for thousands of years. And it's just a matter with cannabis of getting sales to move from the illicit market to the legal market. But we know that there's no shortage of demand. In psychedelics, as opposed to being $100 billion plus industry, maybe, I'm guessing, maybe it's $1 billion industry currently. So I would just, I would like to be able to find some business models that I think are sustainable and can generate long-term profits, because, I completely believe in the therapeutic, and I would love to be able to be involved in some companies that can bring that to the masses, but also can figure out a way to be sustainable and, make profits over time.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Jason.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, please.